So Zabit did a Instagram live, some kind of a Q&A, but it was a chat. It was interactive, back and forth. Any fan could pop in, type him out a question. Zabit would give you an answer. And one of the things came up, and the question said, "Hey, Zabit, do you think you got tired because you cut too much weight or you overtrained?" Now, right out of the gate, guys, I just have to tell you, and we have all sorts of narratives in this sport that have seemed to live on, no matter how silly they are. They seem to live on. First off, this whole cutting weight business isn't real. You got to stop with that. Please understand, it's a 24-hour weigh-in, okay? That means if you weigh in at 4 o'clock on Friday, the show cannot start until 4 o'clock on Saturday. Your fight could come at 10 p.m., which now all of a sudden you got a 30-hour weigh-in. But you are guaranteed 24 hours from the time of the weigh-in to the time that the event starts. I understand not very many people have cut weight, so please take it from me, who's done it since he was 9 years old and stayed in the business till I was 42 years old. That's a meaningful amount of time. A 24-hour weigh-in is a remarkable period to rehydrate. And anybody who can't rehydrate, which is a grand total of nobody, but who will offer to you that they did not rehydrate or offer to you that you're still tired, they're just making an excuse, and there's no nicer way to say it than that. 24 hours is a remarkable amount of time. You would need much more like 8 hours. Whoa, if you had 10 hours, this is a distant memory. You will have at a minimum 24 hours. I'm only sharing that with you because it just seems a little weird. The fact that anyone would pull that out of their sleeve and still try to play that card, let alone have fans gobble it up, is a little bit weird. Though possibly not as weird as overtraining. Nobody watching this video, and this is a massive media outlet, has ever overtrained a day in their life. But allow me to go a step further. Nobody watching this has ever met anybody who is overtrained a day in your life. To explain to you how much training it would take to officially overtrain, it is almost a myth. It is scientifically possible. I personally have seen it happen. It is a real thing, but boy, is it ever a unicorn. To overtrain? What? What are you talking about? It's like meeting somebody who ran themselves until they passed out. That is physically possible, though it never happened to you. You've never seen it, and you've never met anybody it happened to. Because what would a normal person do before they passed out? They'd stop running. It's almost impossible to overtrain. There again, on fight week, which is a week of absolute taper, it is a week focused on travel, on recovery, and on weight management. That's what the week's about. So to then have somebody go through that week and still come out with the claim that they've overtrained, I'm only sharing with you guys so we can put the end to the myth, hopefully, or at least make a dent in it. It seems to be one of these things that just won't go away. That's not the case. Now, if you did meet one of those people who overtrained, which you never have, but if, it would not affect their pace or their conditioning. It would only affect their output. By example, if you're an overtrained athlete and you get into a cage fight and you're on a full sprint for 7 or 8 minutes and then all of a sudden you hit a wall. No, that's not what overtraining does. From second number 1 through minute number 1 to minute number 2 and so on and so forth, your actual output would just be diminished. You would look sluggish. You would be a little slower out there. That is what overtraining would look like. It does not look like somebody who's great and firing on all cylinders and all of a sudden they hit a wall. That's generally not even a unconditioned athlete. That's generally a level of stress. That is generally somebody who has not been in a high-pressure situation, met with an equal and opposite force against them, which is the trained killer wearing short pants and standing there with a mouthpiece. That's what it is. Most of you could go exercise for 30 minutes right now. You'd be tired, but you'd get it done. You would get it done. Now, if I told you the world was watching, you would do that same exercise for about 6 minutes, and you would be completely exhausted. That's called stress. If you put stress into a situation, it causes a fatigue. And that's what we're discussing here. When it does come to Zabit, I'm not seeing what other people saw. I take Zabit at his word. I didn't see a tired guy. I saw a very good opponent who didn't believe the hype, who was ready to get down for 25 minutes. That's what I saw. I saw Zabit go out there and stand his ground and defend himself about whatever onslaught came his way for 25 minutes. That's what I saw. I saw a great fight. And while you'll see a guy start to fall apart through his body language, that's very deceptive. That's very, very deceptive. Let me offer you a fighter, Barboza. Barboza cannot be 3 minutes into a fight without looking exhausted. His face tells a different story. His hands are moving just as fast. His kicks are moving just as fast. He's wrestling just as hard. He's moving for. Barboza is one of the hardest working fighters you're going to see, but his face will tell a different story within 3 minutes. It just does. That's just the way he looks. His skin color, right, as he starts to pump that blood flow, the way his eyes, I see what you guys see, but if you go watch a Barboza fight and you tell me that he's not giving output the entire time, you're lying. He is. And that's what I saw Zabit do. I saw the face. I saw the blood pumping through. I saw the same things you guys saw, but I did not see a guy slow down. And I did not see a guy getting ready to flick it or looking for a way out. And the only time fatigue matters is when it makes a coward out of you or your opponent and makes him want to quit. There was no quit in Zabit. And I only offer you guys that because of this whole narrative that he has a conditioning issue. I don't think that's right. And I think if you're going to the window to place a bet, you're going to be parting with some hard-earned money if you think he's going to get tired and wilt. It's not what I'm seeing.